Force on Force features the largest and strongest outdoor military organization in the country. These are the men and women who make it possible to enjoy the freedom to hunt and fish. It is with great pride that we bring you Force on Force podcast, coming to you from the Force on Force Talk.
Hey, welcome to the Force on Force podcast. We're here in the Force on Force Talk. We're actually in a mobile talk tactical operations center. I'm your host, Shawn Dalrymple. We're on the road again. It seems like this is what my life is. The first part of the year, we were in Indianapolis a week or so ago. Last weekend, we were in Oklahoma City with the Backwoods hunting and fishing show. And
now we're at West Texas O.H. EVIE.
Yeah, you heard Brent Hill on the mic there, and we got Roy Lane.
You believe he's having me back on here?
I know, right? So you guys heard our last podcast. I think it's one of our best podcasts we've done. We talked a lot of good stuff. Particularly loved. Yeah, he did, and I loved the topics that Mike talked about.
Well, him and KB, they said, I'm not talking, but they wound up talking the most.
Kind of the topics that they talked about and kind of opened up and kind of shared the heart. And so we kind of wanted to, we love doing these on the road. We get together and everything. We kind of want to take the opportunity because we got a couple of topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about it's the stuff that we do on the road. We're going to talk about why we're here at O.H. EVIE. We may talk a little bit about going to the Toby next week, and then we're going to talk about the Bassmaster Classic coming up. And so a lot of good things going on. So, we had a good weekend in Oklahoma City. It's always a good time to go there.
The Backwoods show, either in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, always shows out. And the Oklahoma kindness and the people that come out, it's really amazing. So a lot of good discussion with a lot of veterans in Oklahoma and Texas. So, yeah, it was pretty good.
I think it was funny because we talked about it last week. On the last podcast we did, we had still some of the same conversations we have with veterans, talking to them about their VA benefits.
College benefits,
still individuals that are not aware of those. Talk to them about the Folds of Honor scholarship that's opened up.
Gotta be an officer.
Yeah.
No, we're not going down.
We're not going to go down that road. We might have needed to do a little coach teacher mentorship opportunity.
Yeah, a little past that.
We're a little bit past that, type deal, but a lot of stuff going on with that. But it was a fun time. We have the kids' fish tank there and some stuff, and I think a lot of good things that are taking place with what we did in Oklahoma City, because we're going to be back in Oklahoma at the end of the month at Tulsa at the Backwoods show. Doing the same stuff. I think that's good. One of the cool things is, Brent, you've also come on as one of our new partners, even though you're on pro staff, but you have your own bait company.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of taken off. So 20 plus years of making baits for myself and friends and family has now kind of turned into a little small business, and, always wanted to partner with ArmyBassAnglers, and now I've got the platform to do that. The baits have taken off. There's some touring level Bassmaster MLF guys that are using the baits, and man, we're bringing it to the ArmyBassAnglers.
And what we're referring to is Willie Pete custom guide baits, and the story behind, you guys want to know what the crap is Willie? What is Willie Pete? I know it is. Go ahead and tell him, Brand, but go ahead and you tell him.
Willie Pete is a base ejecting artillery projectile that shoots out incinerating smoke. So it's used for targeting. It's also used for signaling for those infantrymen and bomb drops and all that good stuff, and screening. So you can use it for multiple different things, but it is hot and it burns super hot. And it's kind of like that bait that I make, the glide bait, when it hits the water, man, it's on fire. So that's why I thought it was pretty cool to use that. And I love shooting Willie Pete.
Just to put it into perspective, to call it a Willie Pete round in Afghanistan, it took general officer letter of approval to do that. Two-star authority to do that. Yeah. So that's how hot around it is. So I think it's pretty cool to have that name behind it.
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Willie Pete's, man, that's the name of the glide bait. I started doing some soft plastics too. I've always done that, but I've got into some more of the custom, like the dice and the Ned rigs and some other like crawl type stuff. But yeah, I got the OG Willie, the little Willie, and then a 3-piece swimmer coming. So
and they work really, really well. I had my first experience with his glide baits this summer
On Gunnersville, right?
on Gunnersville. I mean, it was like a epic 10 minutes. I wish I had gotten all the bass in that I had on that bait, but I mean, a couple of 10-pounders and
Oh, here we go.
that they hit that bait, and then the first one's probably the epic one when I watched a 5-pounder nearly run into the back of the boat trying to eat that thing. It was just it was crazy type deal.
So a lot of guys, because I got a lot of cool color patterns, and a lot of guys are like, man, I want that color pattern. Hey, I'm gonna break this to you. The color does not matter. It's the action of the bait. And to be honest with you, if I had a color that I was gonna pick, it would just be bone.
That is a true story, because the story on Gunnersville was I might have broken the first one off on a big
Bone one?
the bone one I broke off, and I'm like sitting there just upset because I'm like, man, I don't have another one. I tie a bluegill one on, and they go to eating it just as hard as they did the bone, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's the
I'm
action.
like, how does that happen? And I'm like thinking, man, that's just crazy to understand from a perspective of how well that bait works. But we're some of the dice and stuff that you were making. We were have those at the booth last week in Oklahoma City. I know we're gonna have a lot of that stuff at the Classic coming up, so that'll be kind of
I got some shirts, some hats, some cool stuff. We're kind of continue to improve what we call position improvement, right? So
Come
Get
by the
better.
Army Bass Angler booth and you can see it all.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Put
be
your
cool.
hands on it.
Yep, little willies,
Yep.
OG willies, and some dice. We'll have it. We got some shirts. We got hats. We got all the Army Bass Anglers attire and all the cool stuff and sponsor gear that we got there at the booth at the Super Bowl of bass fishing.
It is.
Bassmaster Classic in Fort Worth.
It is. It'll be a lot of fun. I mean, before we get there, we're going to kind of talk our schedule before we talk about what we're doing here in West Texas. But next week, we're going to be in the Toby.
Yep.
Toledo Bend.
The Texas O.H Bass Invitational.
Always a
And
great event.
It is a lot of fun. And we go down there. A lot of it benefits. One of the things they do is benefits the Texas Children's Hospital Reno unit, and the stuff that we do with that. What's really cool is the guns that are being raffled off as part of this event. They're all being built by me. So, big part of a lot of the stuff that we do to bring awareness, the stuff we do for our nonprofits. But we took an extra special deal with these individuals, and I was like, hey, do you guys want me to what we do with our FFL and help you guys out and build guns? And so, they're actually getting custom built guns by me.
Nice.
And I've already seen them. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. You're gonna have to show me the.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. 5.56, 223, a 308, and then 2 Glock 19s. So different versions of each one. So
You got the red dots on the.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. Different. The red dot, the Hawk. It's got Hawk optics. The Endurance red dots on the Glock 19. So it's really, really cool.
So if you're listening to this and you've never heard of the Toby, the Texas O.H Bass Invitational at Toledo Bend, Texas Children's Hospital if you got to go, because when they bring the kids in, like at the end, man, that pulls your heartstrings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody's clapping. They bring them in. They got a police escort, and these are kids that are sick. Cancer. Something that you would never wish upon your child or any other child, and they bring them in, and it really pulls at you. And then you think about all the work that all these sponsors, including the Army Bass Anglers and the foundation, does for Toby and for the Texas Children's Hospital.
And to see that smile on them kids' face when they're up on stage.
They love
Yeah.
it. So that makes the whole event worth it.
It is. And to give a little bit more background, and you guys have probably been doing it a lot longer than that, but it's all everything that has to do with the oil industry. They're all the companies and
yeah, you got to be part of the Texas Oil family to be in that tournament.
It's their opportunity to give back to the community of us as a whole. And we do a lot of stuff around the country, but we do a lot of business in Texas, and so we take it upon ourselves to be a part of that.
Oh, we got some business to take care of in Texas.
We do. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and then we're going to follow that up. We're going to go directly from that. We're going to go to the Bassmaster Classic.
The Classic, back in Fort Worth, Lake Ray Roberts, back in the Expo Center, Dickey's Arena, phenomenal facility. The weigh-ins are going to be spectacular. I think the fishing's going to be hot.
Yeah, I think so too. So they tried to do the classic here 4 years ago.
3 or 4, yeah, 4 or 5. I don't know. Yeah,
Five, I think.
And so
Was it?
that was when it got pushed because of COVID,
Yeah.
and it got moved to June. And
Oh, it was hot.
all I can remember, Brent, this is when I was glad to be working the Lowrance booth for Lowrance. I drew the short end of the stick for that one.
Yeah.
I was inside on the Lowrance booth in the air conditioning, and the guys are outside working the Army Bass booth, and it was hot. So I know they've got a completely new setup for what's going on this year, and
Yeah, it's legit. I think we kind of got a sneak peek at the layout.
we did. I
Yeah.
mean, we're going to be upstairs, and we're going to be right near some of our partners, whether it's Monster Bass or Gemini Jerseys. So a lot of the Ant Marine's going to be right across. I mean, literally, Ant Marine's going to be right across from us. And if you have never dealt with Ant Marine and their storage systems for bass boats, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, we're partial to them because they build such a great setup for our Skeeter bass boats. But I will tell you this, we're not naive to think that there's not a lot of different other brands.
They make a setup for every single bass
And
boat
if they
brand.
don't have a setup, you
They'll
bring
make it
your
for
boat in and they'll measure it and everything and make one for your boat.
Right. And so they're going to be there. They're going to have a lot of product for you to buy, complete tackle storage. And what we mean by tackle storage is this, they can take your storage compartments and actually make it organized, categorized so that it holds your boxes, holds your plastics, everything that takes your day box and changes it out to.
My favorite thing about the Ant Marine products, and Paige knows this because we've talked about it, but man, my step drawer, like that's a game changer, right? Like
it was.
The Skeeters, you got the step right there, and it was just wasted space under there.
Mhm.
I would have plastics and frogs and
For years, it's
spinnerbaits
been like
just
that.
sitting up underneath
Mhm.
there. Man, when he built that changed the game. Like that's a whole nother compartment for me, like another day box that's right there. So
yeah, I the first time I say this a lot to people, like their thing, and we'll say this a lot. There are things that are catch fishermen and hunters out there, but then we see certain products. They're like, take my money now.
practical.
Yes, it's a solution to a problem, a real problem,
and lighter. Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
like it's lighter and durable, and it just makes sense.
It makes sense.
Basically gives you more storage.
Yeah.
100%.
And the other thing was the battery storage compartment.
Oh man, I can put my G juice right there.
Yeah.
So what I do, and I learned this because I almost had a fish jump out of my live well rack. So I do put my back compartments up.
Yeah, so you can, they have
So they only have one way to jump, and that's into the bed of the boat.
Yeah,
right?
in the console area. Yeah.
So I put
Mhm.
that up. Well, now when I put that up, now that I've got my battery storage box,
Right.
I got my G juice right there, so I can just pour that in whenever I'm putting fish in live well, calling, or whatever I need to do.
So the other part we want to kind of share about the Classic is we're going to have Motormate's going to be in our booth. So
Oh, nice.
we're going to
Yes.
have a cool deal with Motormate showing off their system for your transom when you're towing down the road. And I know, Brent, you had a fun time at Force the Motormate, didn't you?
Yeah.
You're going to, Brent,
It's a little competition that you guys threw out.
with Motormate, you guys are going to get to see
Season 14. that was
season
pretty
14, with Motormate. So it's going to be
Oh,
kind of
man.
cool
Quick. Yeah, you got me.
with that one.
Got
But
me a couple times during that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but you got me a couple times.
And Wiley X is going to be with
I
us.
was going to say, so what's going to be cool, I know we're working on the details right now with Wally X, but we're going to have a giveaway with Wally X at the Classic.
Nice.
So that's going to be one of those deals where we want to announce it kind of here on the podcast. Rick Bradley has been working with the Wally X guys and the team at Wally X because they do such a great job partnering with us. And, I say this all the time. I mean, we trusted them downrange for eyewear, but
100%.
I tell you what, man, it's amazing when we're on the water how well they work eyewear protection, and they're ANSI safety rated, so you don't have to worry about if you're out shooting your guns or anything. If you have a job that requires you to wear those type of protection, you're certified you have certified sunglasses to wear them. So they're going to be in our booth. we always have Wiley X sunglasses, but to actually have them, the representation from Wiley X to bring, they're going to try to bring a much larger selection for the Classic, and we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to try to have some rain suit specials from Frog Togs. Yeah, so that's going to be really, really cool to be able to provide some stuff for that. And of course, we're always going to have Archer. He's going to be there. This, our service dog. Hey, Roy, this is the question for you: Is River going to make his debut at the Classic?
I hope he is. I'm going to try at least one day because he's close enough. If he can't handle it, he's still only 5 months old. So if he don't have it, my wife can drive down, pick him up, and bring him back home.
So what we're talking about is Roy, and there's kind of a history behind Roy with his dog and Army Bass Anglers. Tell the story about Jesse.
You want me to tell it?
Yeah, go ahead, tell it.
Well, I had Jack Russell, Jessie, and she traveled everywhere with me, just like Archer does. I mean, she was on TV with me. She's been in magazines with me, in motels, traveling. She even knows how to go in and out of a motel, open the door by herself to go out and go to the bathroom. And she was my dog, my life, and everything. And then I went to a tournament on Sam Rayburn, and I get a call from my wife, said she had to put her down. And that was the worst day of my life, and that was 6 years ago. And I didn't think I ever wanted another dog until I met Archer. And Archer kind of opened my eyes and everything, and I went back and I hunted for River for almost a year, trying to find the right dog.
Yeah.
And it just happened to fall in my lap. And I'm happy again. I got a traveling partner now.
I got to meet him too. What was that? About a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, you getting your boat wrapped.
Yeah. You get
2 months ago. He was like 3 months old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was 3 months old.
Yeah, it was a couple months ago. Yeah,
he's in his ugly puppy phase right now. We liked her for Archer went through that.
I just got a puppy too. So this is what are we doing?
He just zooms everywhere right now. I mean, you can put his vest on him right now, and he does calm down like Archer, but he still wants to.
He knows he's working.
Yeah. And that's funny. I mean, because we didn't teach him that. And I mean, he does the same things Archer does, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we talk about training a service dog, I think it's so key. It's not so, it's the dog, the training of the dog, but also the training of you that kind of goes into it that helps you along the way.
Yeah, they give me hell about having a puppy. I was never around. My kids were getting raised and everything, so I wasn't around for diapers and all that other stuff. And they said, just like raising a toddler. I said, that's easy. I was never home.
Yeah, he found out really, really quick that one case. But we'll probably get to see a little bit of River at the Classic. And it's always good we led to have that interaction. And we talked a little bit about Cooper and Archer in the last podcast. Yes. But the Classic is going to be kind of a cool deal. We're trying to work on a couple other things. We're hoping that comes to fruition. But it's always a big deal. We meet a lot of people at the Bassmasters.
Or nonprofits.
Yeah, nonprofits. We'll have Fools of Honor that's a part of our booth that'll be there. So it's always a really, really fun time.
And it's the freaking Classic.
It is. It's the Classic. I mean.
Winning the Classic. Go ahead and throw it out there.
Man, I don't even
I'm
know.
not fishing, so I can't say me.
Does Hamner go back to back?
It's really like. He's an Alabama boy, as Alabama boys are,
He can't do it.
Not in Texas.
No.
Well,
in Oklahoma, huh?
I don't know, man. The last time it was back-to-back, it was an Alabama boy and went back-to-back, so.
Well, Jason Chrissie's not in it.
Yeah.
So those boys are lucky.
I think it's all going to come down to the weather pattern we have leading up to that Classic, where the fish are, We talk about this a lot. We're gonna talk a little bit here in a minute about where we're down here at O.H. EVIE. Forward-facing sonar plays so much a part into what goes on in fishing right now. The question is going to be, is it a spawn tournament? I'll throw that out there.
Well, this weather in Texas is so unpredictable this time of year. I mean, you can
at
have
the
good days.
Outlook right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can turn around the next week and have tornadoes.
I hadn't looked at it, but and the other question is the moon phase, I think, could line up right.
I think there's a new moon.
Yeah.
I had to go back and look. I didn't know that. But.
Yeah, I've been paying that. I pay more attention coming out of deer season than that because I've been tournament fishing
But
lately.
I think that matters.
Yeah, it does. It does.
The weather, the water temperature, the moon phase, I believe that stuff.
It hugely matters to that stuff.
Plays a big part in it.
Yeah.
I think it does.
It does. It plays.
There's some camps that'll argue against it, right?
Yeah, they will. They'll argue. Like, I think, so and I think this year we've had a colder winter than we've had in a long time. And so I think it's going to change how, particularly the
different stages of the spawn. Maybe some
you could have all three stages going on.
Maybe,
and so that's
I've seen that happen.
And that's gonna be a huge deal. You're thinking late March, and Texas the last couple of years. I mean, they're already could be postponed at that point the last couple of years, but not with the weather we've had. I mean,
no.
I mean, we're on a OHI, what we say 58 degrees.
There's 61 I looked this evening before we got off.
Yeah. High 50s right at low 60s.
Yeah. So it's and
a couple of days ago it was like in the 50s, low 50s because of the cold weather snap that we had across the whole part of the country.
And we're south of there, so I mean that's going to play into it. So I think that's.
I just hope they catch them.
I mean they'll
always catch.
They always catch them. Somebody always catches them. It's a classic. I mean, somebody always catches them. Yeah. They figure them out. I mean, it's the fun part of like the sport of bass fishing is to watch the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, it's the Super Bowl of bass fishing. How they figure it out, what goes into it, who manages the pressure
and their time.
I mean, I was there was a couple of years ago. I remember when this was on Grand the year that Edwin won it. I remember I was the lead boat with Skeeter the final day when Jason Christie was in.
He was leading
going out, and that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot to be said for doing the hunting versus being the hunted.
Yeah, and he went way up the elk, and I know that spot well.
Yeah, so
he caught him. Got a big bag.
I think when you think about it from it's all these things are going to go into the classic that matter about how we do it. That's with any tournament and how you handle pressure.
That's the biggest one.
The pressure is a deal. We talk about it a lot in our military careers. I mean, that's what I think makes us
bless you.
Successful as a military is. Because we put people in when we talk about when we read someone who gets promoted because that part it says demonstrated leadership potential.
Yeah,
and I think part of that demonstrated leadership potential is how you handle pressure.
Yeah, I mean if you train like you fight,
right,
and the training is harder than what you'll ever encounter.
Yes,
then when you face the game, it's going to be just another training event. But a real live game. So, yeah, I mean that's the pressure piece. But man, when you got cameras and dudes following you, and all that stuff, and then you think about the magnitude of the classic.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big deal.
It is, and I talk about this a lot. I mean, anytime, I don't care who you are. I mean, anybody can crumble in the wrong scenario. I've talked about this a lot. I've said this many times. I did a lot of operations with a lot of people downrange, of a lot of special forces guys, and I've heard them crumble on the radio many times. And so it could be the best in the game of fishing, and
we've all seen it happen.
We've all seen it happen, and so that's going to be the key to this is how that person. That's why I think in Pat we've seen the guys that have been in the lead that spun out of control. And we've seen those guys come from way in the pack because they don't have any pressure on them. They're just swinging for the fish.
You just never know when that camera gets stuck in your face and everything. You're trying to concentrate on fishing and you're worried about that camera on the side here and you're going, come on, I got to concentrate.
Yeah, I just went through that.
I know. Well, I mean, so when we do the TV show Force on Force, a lot of what people don't understand that we try to replicate real life stressful situation of tournament fishing, but also what we face like going downrange.
Yeah.
And we do that. We are able to do that.
PCCs, PCIs, time management.
We do that because we shorten the day down, and a lot of the same ways we do in training that we're able to replicate stress on you guys. People don't realize, man, when you get a camera, people think, oh man, I can get their fish, or we know the hunt said I can get up there and I can shoot. Man, when they stick a camera like 2 inches from your face,
and you're going, trying to get your sights in on that target, or trying to cast and make sure you're on the right fish.
And nowadays, the fact that they're live streaming everything, that they're, it's not like back in the day when it used to be like produced. That might not make the cut. Nowadays, if they're on you in the live stream and you mess up, it's probably going to be on social media, and like,
especially off our TV show.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's going to be on there, and like, in 20 minutes they're going to have that viral,
some meme or whatever.
Yeah, they're going to have it on there, like who's messed up and how they're doing it, and so how they deal with that is going to be kind of the deal. So we kind of set the stage for the classic, but we're going to talk about what we're doing this week, though. What are we doing, Brand?
We are hunting for a 10+ pound bass.
Yeah.
Preferably a 13 to get that legacy share lunker, right? So Texas Parks and Wildlife has the share lunker program. We're at O.H. EVIE, the home of the giants, the land of the giants. There's been 3 so far this year in 2025. One just a few days ago. But yeah, we are out here trying to catch a big one. And I don't think we're going out tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a little weather coming in.
40 to 50 mile an hour winds. It might
try
get a
to
little
talk
rough.
them into it.
I'm not doing it.
So here's the deal. There's 3 of us sitting here on this podcast. One of the 3 have not caught a 10-pounder.
Who's that?
The one who's trying to talk us into going out there tomorrow.
No, we got Rory here. He's got to get a 10. And this is the place that has him, right? But here's the deal. It is not easy. People think just because you got forward-facing sonar and all that, you can just go out there and you're going to catch a 10-pound. That is not the case. Is not.
Nah.
We worked this afternoon.
Yeah, well,
we did. We had a little bit of time to go out and just kind of see. It was windy, bad. I mean, we caught some good ones. Some 4s and some 5s, but nothing giant. We saw some, but man, it was so windy you couldn't get on them. It is not easy.
It's so precise about making the cast. I mean, just for us getting down here was difficult. I mean, we were in Oklahoma City last night.
Till what? 7:30?
Yes, I know, whatever time it was, and you had to go home and make a bunch of baits.
Yeah, I had my last batch going out to paint to paint for the classic. I mean, I'm cutting it close on my timelines too, but. Yeah, and then I left at 4:00 this morning from OKC.
And then we had to drive back to Lake Fork to drop the trailer off and the fish tank, and then we got a couple hours sleep, and then we hopped in the truck and drove down here. Meet you down here this morning, get here about 11 o'clock. So I mean, it just to get here with everything that we do. I mean, to set the stage is we wanted to try and get here a little bit today because we saw the weather, what it's going to be on Tuesday. Because we really do want Roy to catch that.
I do too.
So
Wednesday's going to look, it looks like, I mean, because weather matters in the spring. And it looks like Wednesday's going to be our best opportunity. I'm going to say we're going to pack a lunch and probably not come in for anything. We're going to go for it all day and try to, put some time in and cover some water and try to find that big one.
So Roy, tell the listeners how close you've been.
9.97.
That's close.
That's close. But not over 10. So
I can go to Fork and catch 8, 9 pounders all day long, but I cannot bust that double digit.
And that's been kind of, so like, and he tell you, like, I want him to do it because like majority of the day, like I've sat back in the seat and run the camera because I've been trying to like get it on film, like, because I want to get like his reaction, like when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, because I had planned this out. And said I had some openings and you guys come down. So, man, here we are.
Yeah.
It could happen. The probability for it to happen is here, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's giant bass right now swimming out in that really windy lake. And hopefully
I
Wednesday.
seen them on the active target tonight.
Yeah, they're swimming around. You can tell.
And it would be really cool because a couple of weeks ago when we were finishing up Force on Force, I got sneaked down to Headwaters. One of our task force guys called his personal best a 9:12.
0.04 away.
I know, he was so close. I mean, Ryan, he was still happy. Don't let you know. I mean, he's.
I saw that one.
He was definitely like over the moon. The best part about that whole story was he doesn't even know like how big this fish is. I'm asking does he need a net, and he's like, I don't know. I've not seen the fish like twice, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna get the net for you. Just to
He didn't know what he had.
No, he didn't. He didn't know till I like.
He was grinning from here to
He
here when I
was.
seen him.
Yeah,
He was super happy. So.
But we caught fish all day long there.
Yeah. But if we could do, like, I'd love to see like Roy's expression. We could get it on camera. Like, I think that would be great.
Always be recording. So we're gonna definitely have the cameras on.
Yeah.
We're here. We are at O.H. Hobby. I've been here multiple times. I've caught several 10-pounders out here. It's a cool place, but it also humble you. It'll humble you. But
Well,
I hope that it doesn't here. I mean,
the weather
got
itself
opportunity.
is just the challenge here today, and I think that's well,
the weather around the whole country's been a little challenging.
it has.
I drove into Florida. What was that? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I drove into Florida and there was snow on the ground in Florida.
Yeah.
Like what? That was unheard of.
I know, and I think that's been when we start talking about how difficult. Because what we're doing, tell a little about how we're trying to catch these fish, Mary.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for those bass that are trying to get ready to spawn, because those are going to be our biggest ones. It's not right yet for them to spawn, and they spawn in different depths of the water column here. I mean, some of these guides down here have proven that they'll spawn in 15 to 10 to 5, all the way up to a foot deep. So we're getting on the trolling motor, and we're using active target, and we're looking, and we're trying to find those big ones. And when when you see a big one.
Yeah, it's really kind of key. I think Britt and I have been doing this for a long time with our grass, with our low ranch grass, and you learn what big fish look like on your grass. You can see what those comparatively look like. People ask us like all the time, and that just comes from time and effort type deal.
So we're following those areas that are leading to the spawning flats, creek channels and drains. And we're just following those and looking in those high percentage areas. I mean, it's textbook. We're not doing anything secretive.
No.
But really just getting on the trollometer. There may be 40 minutes that we don't even make a cast because we're just looking for the right one.
So I learned a lot today, about what a bass looks like, what a carp, what a drum looks like on the active target.
Yep.
And how it lights up.
Yep.
Yeah. It's always like you get that bright return, like that's.
Yeah, and those bigger ones, you'll see the tail separation. You can see them kind of moving through the water column. They look to me like a bass now on active target. So like that drum I caught today, I when I saw it come off the bottom, I was like, that's a drum. Then when it started rolling, I was like, yeah, it's a drum. But
right.
Yeah, you kind of, I mean, it's just time on the water, just like anything else, just like the old school 2D or the flasher or the down scan or the side scan. You just got to have time on the water so you know what you're looking at, know how to interpret it, just like you read your topographical maps and your sea map and your shading and your contour lines on a lake. And that all kinds of goes back into like your old school deer hunting techniques and hunting, those bedding areas and staging areas and the feeding areas. It's the same thing. And
the routes they take
and the highways. And
well, I mean, people forget fish are predators, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you can
and they gotta eat.
They gotta eat. So if you can understand that and you can look at a map, I would tell you, I say like this all the time. I mean, I don't think sometimes we realize how blessed we are because of the training that we got.
Just the old school map reading
from the military. Mm-hmm. I mean, to learn how to read a map properly.
I've never lost.
I know. I'm like, Like a true story. The only time I've ever been lost was when the snake crawled across my foot in land nav. Of course, that was after the first point. I stepped in a hole, and a snake crawled across my foot. I was done after that. But that's the only time in my life I've ever been lost in my life.
No, I mean that's something that you get from the military that
Right.
it's ingrained in you. I wouldn't say brainwashed. I would say just like branded into you is your navigational skills that you get from doing your map reading and your map training and your land navigation skills. So it does absolutely help on the water.
It never goes away either.
No, it's like riding a bike,
Mm-hmm.
electric or regular.
Oh, we got some good electric bikes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, that's a great segue, huh? You like how I did that?
I know, right? Hey, just so you know, if you bring an electric bike home that we sell, your wife might want to know where hers is at.
Man. Hey, so yeah. So Shawn, tell them about these sweet electric bikes that we got.
So about I don't know, the first year we went to Indianapolis, 2 years ago, we got hooked up. There's a company called Freedom Cycle Company. They make an e-bike, and it's very, very good for hunting and
Trail biking
and RVing, anything you want to do.
and regular riding around the neighborhood.
Regular riding around the neighborhood. So much so that last year, I just kind of wanted to test it and got a couple. I kept one of them. We raffled one of them off, and I rode the e-bike in to kill both my target bucks this year with it.
So instead of walking through all the leaves, you just rode your bike in.
It's a lot quieter.
A lot quieter.
Yeah.
I mean, even though one place, but actually both the places I did this, we have a side-by-side there. I chose to do the e-bike going into it, and I think it made a total difference. But what's really cool about these bikes, I think, is that they don't look like a hunting bike, but they function like a hunting bike. I mean, they are a hunting bike, but they can fit any.
It's like a beefed up 4x4 mountain bike.
Yeah, it fits any demographic. So if you're looking for one on your, to put on the back of your camper for camping purposes, or you're looking for one just for your neighborhood that you got a cool neighborhood.
It's really an all-purpose bike.
Yeah, it's really an all-purpose bike, but it would hold because when I originally talked. The cool story is that the big Harley dealer there in Indianapolis, guy's name's Big Mike. I was just asking him, and he goes, "Yeah, that's why I got it." He's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's like, "I got it to hunt with out west, kill elk with," and so that's when I knew. The other piece of it, it's actually a step-through bike. I would tell this so
you don't have to step over.
Yeah, I don't care how coordinated you are. You get a pair of hunting boots on, you try to step through that thing.
Yeah, or you're cold and you got your cover all.
Yeah. It's really cool. But
no, it's a legit bike. Yeah, I got a couple now, and yeah, they're sweet.
They're sweet. You can do some cool.
All you gotta do is buy your boy some.
Yeah, they all want them. So
yeah,
but they're gonna do a little work around the house. I got some baits they can sand down and get ready and swim test. And stuff.
You don't believe in that just because I got it and you don't get it either.
Oh, you gotta earn it.
You gotta earn it. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
My boys get upset because they're like they think it should be this trickle down economics thing.
No,
like, that's not the way it works, man.
No, everything you get in life, you need to earn it, or at least have that kind of knowledge about how things work. I mean that's
kind of like that kid that we donate the
fish
to. This.
We so normally if we can find somebody to buy the catfish when we do the kids fish tank, we'll sell them at a good price. Help somebody that's trying to stock a pond. But we had a kid who has a pond on this place that he brings kids in to fish, and
he's 11 years old.
11 years old. He brings kids in to fish, and he came and asked us if he could have the fish, and because
he just wanted a couple at first, right?
He just wanted a couple at first. Roy probably knows the story more.
No, he wanted to know how much they were.
Yeah,
and I told him. His dad come back and said, "You got to pay for them yourself." And he come back and his grandma told me, he says, "He ain't got the money." I said, "It's his money?" She said, "Yes." I said, "They're his. We'll give them to him."
Yes.
That's awesome.
So we donated.
And this kid's 11 years old and taking buddies fishing.
He's taking buddies fishing, getting out there.
Instead of playing video games?
That's the whole reason he wanted to put more catfish in there, so he had more catfish for his buddies to get out there.
Well, they got them now.
Yeah, and so that was like one of the... Sometimes we get a chance to make a real cool impact and teach a lesson at the same time, and I think that's one of those cool moments that we get to do that people sometimes don't get to see. That's what I think is cool about the podcast. Sometimes we get to share those stories like that.
Yeah, impromptu as well.
Yeah.
Just going with it. So just to recap, we just did Indy for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Now we just did Oklahoma City last week. We're at Ivy kind of taking a breather. Then we go to Toby, and then we're at the Classic. Man, this is a busy
Then we go
time.
back to Tulsa.
Then we go back to Tulsa.
Then we go back to Tulsa. So
and I might get to go home after that.
on the road,
if
Hey.
we don't go hog hunting.
we got to get a 10-pounder.
We got to get a 10-pounder. So you guys know, if we do, here's what, we'll make a deal with you guys. If we get a 10-pounder, if Roy gets a 10-pounder, we'll get back on here later in the week.
We got to talk about it,
We'll talk about it.
how it happened.
We'll
all
talk about it. We'll tell the story. We'll do all that.
the
'Cause I know,
measurements, the pictures.
yeah, we're going to do all that. I mean, I think that's what we got to do.
You know
for
what
the-
he asked me yesterday? He goes,
What?
"Hey, in your boat, do you have like the tape measure thing?" Like, yeah. I go to IVL. Yes, I got a tape measure.
Well, he guaranteed me a 10.
I did not.
Look
I
at
said
him.
I guaranteed you they are in here.
He guaranteed you a chance at a 10-pounder,
Yes.
and he already gave you that. He already had that option
a
today.
few times today.
Right? So-
It's not easy, man.
It's not.
The wind is. Yeah, I mean, if it would, if
Well,
it
I
would
mean,
just,
people think you just walk up there and you look at them on the screen, you drop the lure down there, and they bite. They
That's
don't.
not how it happens.
No,
No.
it's work.
No, it is work and it takes some skill, and I think it's going to happen.
It is.
I feel it. That's the thing about life and doing all this stuff and meeting all the people that we do and the experiences that we've had in the military and the nonprofit work that we've done is that the positive outlook and isn't a positive outcome, right?
Mhm.
So
it is.
we're thinking we're going to catch a 10-pounder. It's going to happen, right? So as long as we have that positive mental mindset that it's going to happen, we're going to get Rory that 10.
It is. Visualize it so we can get back on there and talk about it.
Yeah.
We want.
Well,
to,
even I'll tell you what. Even if I don't, 99% sure I will. But if we don't, we'll be back again.
yeah,
Yeah.
I won't give up.
Yeah.
that's kind of the key. I mean, everything we do and everything that we've been taught in our military career is about, opportunities, about taking advantage of everything we do. We do so much good stuff with Army Bass Anglers, all our brands. Additionally, as Brent's already kind of alluded to, the 1st of April, we'll have the Force on Force season 14 airing.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And so we'll have that coming up. So much going on right now. So, as we wrap this podcast up, if you guys want to know more about anything we do, want to find out how to get involved, want to become a member, or just want to ask us a question, you can hit us up. Any one of our social medias on the buck, the bass, the hog, the duck, or redfish, you name it. Or you go to forceontv.com and find out more about us. Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we're going to be back to talk at some point to talk about the 10-pound, whether it happened or didn't happen, but it'll be a lot of fun trying it. So we'll see you next time. Whoa.
Thanks for listening to the Force on Force podcast. Join us next time as we dive into more topics from the Force on Force Talk. For more information or to learn how to join the organization, visit our website at forceonforcetv.com.